This is a history of humans in 100 seconds. Humans began as hunters and gatherers in Africa. They learned to make tools, control fire, and form tribes. Farming changed everything. Villages became cities. They built empires, wrote books, fought wars, and dreamed of stars. It's when humans began to make weapons that the big changes started. The ability to hunt bigger game meant more food, which led to larger brains, which led to more advanced tools, which led to hunting even bigger game. It was a cycle that would repeat itself over and over again until every creature on Earth except us went extinct. Humans are highly social creatures. We live in groups. We form complex relationships and alliances. We share information, resources, and ideas. As many as 3/4 of our calories can go towards feeding our brains. You can specialize in gathering this or hunting that. When humans spread out, they encountered environments with far less variety. For example, in Europe, there was an abundance of fish and wild cattle. Our ancestors adapted by developing the ability to fish and to domesticate cattle. We took what nature offered and we made it our own. So, in order to keep our brains happy, we need to be constantly looking for new sources of food. The world is full of problems and many of them can be solved with math. So, sign up today and let's solve some problems together. Thanks for watching and learning with us. Climate change, traffic congestion, disease, pandemics, they all have one thing in common: a lack of math skills. That's where Brilliant comes in. Brilliant is an online learning platform with thousands of lessons in science, computer science, and math. With Brilliant, you can learn at your own pace and on the go. Their interactive lessons are fun, engaging, and super effective. You can learn about the math behind neural networks or the physics of everyday life. So whether you're a student or just someone who wants to learn more about the world around them, Brilliant has something for you. We hunted with spears, then swords, then guns. We record our stories on cave walls, then paper, then hard drive. And we fight with each other using clubs, then bows and arrows, then drones. We've always improved on nature because we're storytellers. This drive to acquire resources is what has allowed us to spread across the planet, to survive ice ages and droughts, and to conquer nearly every environment on Earth. They don't contemplate their existence or search for meaning in the universe. They just live and then they die, and that's the end of that story. But not for humans. Humans tell stories. Stories about the past, about each other, about imaginary lands and monsters and magical adventures. Stories make us human. Storytelling is how we learn who we are, how we understand the world around us, and how we pass on what we've learned to the next generation. Without stories, we'd be lost. In short, we work together. This makes us incredibly flexible. We can adapt to all kinds of environments because we bring our own environment with us wherever we go. We also have something else in common with bees. Now they hold the world in their hands and still don't know who they are. So humans, like most stories, began in Africa. We're still learning who we are and what we're capable of. The future is unwritten. The path ahead is dark and full of, well, everything. What happens next is up to us. Specifically, it was here where our hominid ancestors split from the other great apes and began to walk upright on 2 legs about 6 million years ago. But for most of that time, they were still pretty much animals. It was only with the arrival of Homo sapiens about 300,000 years ago that things started to change. They began making primitive tools, but that's not really what changed things. Other animals used tools too. Okay, we weren't perfect. We made mistakes. Like when we almost killed ourselves with nuclear bombs. We have a funny way of doing that. Fire provided warmth, light, protection, and a way to cook food. And if you cooked your food, you could eat it cold. You didn't have to spend as much energy keeping it warm. This gave our ancestors even more energy to do, well, more stuff. But at least that has to count for something. But then quickly figured out how to put it to good use. Anyway, another thing that helped us spread across the planet was our ability to control fire, although we may have helped start the fire. We also had something else going for us, our big social brains. Humans evolved in Africa where there is a tremendous amount of biodiversity. There is a huge variety of plants and animals. The human brain requires a huge amount of energy to function properly. But it hasn't been easy. We've always been doers, makers, creators. We built shelters, then houses, then apartments. All the other animals just live their lives. They don't stop to wonder why they're here. Okay, we've come a long way since we first stood up on 2 legs, but we're still evolving. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Now before we go, a message from our sponsor, Brilliant. And if that's not enough, They're adding new lessons every month. They created gods and laws and machines. They crossed oceans, broke chains, and raised towers. They painted caves, wrote symphonies, split atoms. They reached the moon, then built a world online. And now they face fire and flood and silence and ask, can we still choose kindness before we run out of time? This is a story of humans. Humans arrived on Earth about 300,000 years ago, just one species among many. But soon afterwards, something changed. We don't know exactly what, but humans began to spread across the planet, and to make things no other animal does. Tools. At first, these were simple things, sharp stones for cutting and chopping. But as humans migrated across the world, they developed new ways to scratch, scrape, hack, and crush. Each innovation allowing them to adapt to new environments and acquire new skills. As they traveled, they encountered other humans, and not all encounters were peaceful. Some humans fought other humans, some humans enslaved other humans. But throughout history, many groups came together, sharing knowledge and customs, occasionally creating something new. Humans bred bigger and stronger plants and animals. They learned how to farm and fish and hunt with weapons. They wove grasses into mats and shaped clay into pots. And little by little, they settled down. About 12,000 years ago, humans had been making art for at least 30,000 years. Painting animals on cave walls, carving figurines from stone and ivory, stringing shells into necklaces. But as they became more sedentary, they made something different. Architecture. Humans created homes out of mud, brick, and wood and stone. They built tombs for their dead, some of them monumental. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey is one of the oldest human settlements on Earth. Its huge T-shaped pillars are decorated with animals and geometric patterns. Humans didn't know how to write yet, but here they left a message, a testament to their beliefs and values, showing how complex their culture already was. Farming allowed humans to stay in one place and raise larger families, which led to more humans. As groups grew, they needed systems to keep track of who owned what and who could do what. So humans invented record keeping and writing, law codes, and social classes. City-states rose and fell. The Sumerians invented the wheel. The Egyptians invented the plow. The Indus people invented the chessboard. The Chinese invented paper. Each innovation spread to other cultures. Cities grew and specialized, becoming centers of trade. As humans started to explore, they found new resources and new enemies. The Assyrians built an empire on war. The Persians built an empire on roads. The Greeks built an empire on ships. Along the Mediterranean, they traded ideas as much as goods, developing common values and institutions that would influence Western civilization for centuries. In the East, the Vedic people wrote down their religious teachings. The Israelites wrote down their laws. The Chinese wrote down their history. The Maya wrote down their calendar. Then humans did something they always do, something that sometimes makes them cruel and destructive, but also allows them to endure and thrive, adapt. About 3,000 years ago, humans started to use metals. First, tin and bronze, then iron. These harder, sharper materials allowed them to build new weapons and tools. Stronger weapons led to bigger armies. Bigger armies led to bigger empires. The Assyrians conquered much of the Middle East. The Greeks created city-states. The Romans created roads. China unified under a single dynasty. Then, everything changed when the Mongols rode across Asia and Europe. For centuries, humans had mostly fought over land. But now the Mongols fought over everyone's land. Under Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. They crushed anyone who resisted them and took ideas and technology from those they didn't. For the first time in history, humans were connected across Eurasia. In the Americas, new empires rose, the Inca, the Aztec, and in Africa, the kingdom of Songhai grew rich on gold and salt. Then, Europeans began exploring the world and encountered other humans for the first time. They sailed south and discovered the Americas. They headed east and discovered Asia. They went around Africa and discovered Australia. Over the next 150 years, Europeans claimed all these lands for themselves, taking resources and people back to Europe, where the Renaissance was changing everything. For the first time in history, humans looked back at classical art and culture and tried to recreate it. Trade boomed, and so did science. Nicolaus Copernicus described how the Earth revolved around the sun. Humans started to question everything, including religion. Martin Luther posted his 95 Theses. Isaac Newton published the laws of motion. People started to think of themselves less as subjects of a king and more as citizens of a nation. This era of exploration and innovation set the stage for the next one. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain and spread across Europe and North America. Humans created machines that spun and cut and stitched and powered themselves with steam, then with oil. Machines replaced hands. Factories replaced homes. Cities grew overcrowded. New diseases spread, but humans kept inventing new technologies. The telegraph, the telephone, the light bulb. The pace of life accelerated. Within 2 more generations, humans would change the world again. Both world wars killed millions, but afterwards, humans took small steps towards peace. The United Nations was founded. Television and jet planes connected the world. Humans landed on the moon, but the relationship between humans and nature turned hostile. Oil spills, clear-cut forests, smog-filled cities. It seemed like everywhere humans went, they destroyed the environment. As the 20th century ended, humans faced new challenges: poverty and inequality, war and terrorism, pandemic and climate change. Many thought humanity might end there, but humans adapted once more. The internet connected billions. Social media amplified voices. Streaming services delivered anything you wanted. Electric cars promised to change everything, and young people protested against war and poverty and climate change, demanding a better future from older generations. Today, humans face even more uncertainty. A global pandemic has killed millions. The climate crisis threatens billions. A nuclear war could end all human life. Yet humans remain optimistic. They search for life on Mars. They develop new medicines and materials. They invent ways to grow food in space. They explore the depths of the ocean. They climb the highest mountains. Humans have always striven to understand their origins, searching for answers in the stars and in themselves. Maybe the secret to our survival lies in our ability to keep asking questions. Maybe it's in our refusal to stop seeking understanding. Or maybe it's in our constant drive to create, to imagine new possibilities and find new solutions. Throughout history, humans have caused many problems, but they've also solved some of the world's biggest mysteries and endured every disaster. Maybe our greatest strength isn't our intelligence or our curiosity, but our stubborn refusal to give up. Humans have come so far in such a short time, but everything we've done, all the great works of art and science and invention, all the epic stories and achievements, it's all been done by individuals. Every building, every painting, every scientific breakthrough, every song, every moment of joy is the result of someone choosing to be kind. Sometime in the past, humans chose violence, chose exploitation, chose hatred and caused immeasurable damage. But humans have also chosen empathy, chosen hard work, chosen kindness, and through those choices, they've transformed the world. Right now, humans are facing unprecedented challenges: fire and flood and silence. But if we stick together, if we listen to each other, if we learn to trust each other, we can solve these problems. If we choose kindness, we can still go further. This is a story of humans. Do you want to hear another one?